Hello, beautiful souls. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to ground and center together. Take a deep breath in through the nose and a slow breath out the mouth. Soften your shoulders. Let your feet connect to the ground beneath you. You are here. You are present. You are exactly where you need to be. Affirm with me. I am present. I am grounded. I am a holistic healer. I am doing transformational work. I am worthy of healing and expansion. I am open to all God has for me. I honor the human behind the healer. Welcome to the Holistic Therapist Podcast, your safe space to decolonize, integrate, heal, and expand beyond the box of what it means to be a therapist and healer. I'm your host, LeNaya Smith Crawford, licensed holistic therapist, trauma-informed facilitator, yoga and breathwork teacher, sound healer, and entrepreneur. Let's get into it. Beautiful souls, I am so excited for this week's guest on the Holistic Therapist Podcast. We are interviewing Gabrielle Juliano-Villani. She is a licensed social worker, burnout recovery coach, consultant, educator, and entrepreneur based in Sarasota, Florida. With over a decade of experience in the mental health field, specializing in stress, chronic health conditions, and trauma, Gabrielle scaled her own private practice to 7 figures before selling it in 2021 after experiencing burnout firsthand. Since then, she has dedicated her work to helping therapists, healers, and entrepreneurs grow sustainably without sacrificing their well-being. Through her company, GJV Consulting, she offers business consulting, continuing education, and burnout prevention retreats with a deep focus on nervous system regulation and polyvagal theory. She is also an approved continuing education provider through NBCC and ASWB, and a dynamic speaker on burnout prevention, nervous system health, and sustainable practice building. And I'm so excited for you all to hear this conversation. All right, beautiful souls, welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Therapist Podcast. I am so excited for today's guest. She is a colleague, she is a friend, she is an expert on all things polyvagal theory and nervous system regulation. I'm so excited that you're here, Gabby.
Me too. I'm so excited that you have a podcast now, and I feel honored to be a guest. So thank you.
Of course, of course. Well, tell the folks a little bit about you and what you do in the world.
I am an LCSW. I'm based now in Sarasota, Florida, but I previously had a group practice in the Denver area, and we mostly served Medicare and Medicaid population. Because of that, grew and scaled very quickly. I learned a lot of lessons, and I ended up just completely burning out. On paper, it looks very successful, 7 figures, 15 clinicians, like this great reputation, blah, blah, blah. But I hated it. So I sold my practice in 2021. And since then, I have like 3 buckets that I work in. I help people with Medicare and Medicaid, compliance, documentation, billing, credentialing. I help folks add other income streams and scale their practices and potentially exit without burning out. And then the third bucket is the burnout, polyvagal, nervous system, sound healer, intuitive reader retreats.
Love it. I mean, Gabby, you're such a great example of being a multi-passionate, multifaceted therapist. And I think a big part of being a holistic therapist is knowing that you can expand outside the box, and you've done it so beautifully.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So, as you talk about like nervous system regulation, polyvagal theory, and burnout, how do you define nervous system regulation specifically for therapists and healers?
So, I think that a lot of us, when we hear this term or started hearing this term, and we see it all over social media now, there is this thought that regulation equals calm and like being completely zen. And that's not true. So, and that's how I was trained. And so it's important to me because I'm hearing this a lot now where people aren't really understanding what the regulation means.
Yeah.
And it's really about, to me, what Deb Dana, who is also a polyvagal, like we learn a lot from her. She is also an LCSW. She calls it befriending your nervous system. And that's how I think about it, is regulation is knowing when you are activated and what you need in those moments, right? It's not about forcing yourself to be calm all the time. It's about understanding the ebbs and flows of life and knowing that that's normal. It's supposed to happen. We are supposed to get triggered and have anxiety. Like, we have stress. And bad things sometimes do happen. And it's not about being like, oh my God, I'm totally fine, very zen. I'm just, in a theta state at all times. Like, that's not normal. It's about understanding what you need in those moments of activation and what that looks like for you.
I love that. I do feel like people think that regulation means life is sunshine and rainbows all the time, even though that'd be nice. That's not the reality of life, right? And to be alive.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about nervous system regulation, why do you think it's essential for therapists and healers to understand nervous system regulation and to bring it into the therapy room?
I think a lot of times we forget that this is a two-way street. So
Hmm.
we're just thinking about sitting in front of a client and the client and the client and the client. But guess what the client is responding to? You and your environment and what they see. And even if you're listening to this podcast, you are responding to the sound of our voices and both of our backgrounds and how we are using our hands or not using our hands, or if we're looking over here and we're distracted, right? So the same thing happens when you are sitting with a client, and it is subconscious. They are picking up on those mirror neurons. So if you are in outer space somewhere, which happens, it's fine. Or if you're having a bad day and you're really stressed, they're going to pick up on that too because of that co-regulation. So there's that piece where we are the container for regulation with our clients, but also for yourself and your own protection. If you are taking on all of your client stuff too and getting activated and dissociating, that's going to bleed over into the next client and the next client. And when you get home at night and when you're supposed to be feeding your sweet little baby daughter and you're somewhere else, right? So it is the foundation for everything and all of our responses to what's happening in our world.
Yes, I love that, especially it being the foundation, right? I do believe that nervous system regulation is at the foundation of doing this work,
Yes.
And so, how can a therapist or healer practically bring nervous system regulation into the therapy room, one, but also into their own practice and their own healing journey?
So, the fastest way to help yourself get back to like a baseline state is actually just taking a deep breath. And I love using that because it's really easy. And half the time, people don't even notice that you did it. And sometimes they do, and that's fine. And you can do it together. But all you need to do is take one deep breath, let your lungs and your tummy expand and touch your diaphragm. Let your body know that's like, we're here, we're present. So that's one very easy way to do it. A lot of mindfulness practices I mean, this is the science behind all of that. So, whatever that looks like for you, that might be, yeah, practicing some deep breathing with your client. That might be coloring or doing some like Zen tangles. It might be bilateral stimulation. It might be binaural beats. It could be tapping if you like to do that. It could simply be noticing, one blue thing in your room or something that makes you feel really good, a glimmer. So those are things you can teach clients and do with clients, and then
Yeah.
that you can also do for yourself in between sessions. I also think it's really important to pause, because we don't do that enough either, and pay attention. It's very easy to just keep going through the motions and ignore the signals that our body is giving us. But if you have that feeling of like, or you're like, why am I feeling this way, right? Like, sit with that for a second. What does that mean? It's not good or bad, it's just information.
Yeah, I love that. The pause, right? So much healing and recognition and awareness happens in the pause. And I think, like you said, we don't do it enough. I
Mm-hmm.
love the little deep belly breathing in the moment, in the session, before the session, because it's accessible, it's easeful. And it's something that, like you said, no one will notice that you're doing it, but you're regulating in real time.
Yeah.
And so, as we talk about regulation and bringing these practices into the therapy room, I know that I'm going to call you an expert on polyvagal. Okay.
Thank you.
So I want you to receive that. I want you to receive that.
Okay.
So, as an expert in polyvagal theory, how can you break down polyvagal theory in a very accessible way for someone who might be interested in the theory without going too deep?
So there are three principles of polyvagal theory. And the first one is that we have these stages that we move through, and we all move through them. So the stages are, I'll give you the science names: ventral vagal, which is like your baseline. That's where you are calm, present. You can, if it feels accessible to you, you can make eye contact. You're connecting with your world. And then we move into fight or flight, which I'm sure everybody knows what that feels like, right? Your heart is racing, you get triggered by something, you hear something that upsets you. You move into that sympathetic space of your nervous system where you are moving towards or moving away. And when your system has had too much in there, we move into dorsal vagal shutdown. And that is where I think of it like a turtle coming into its shell, like you're conserving your energy. It's a very high level explanation of the three stages, but that's what we move through. And not just those responses that we're having, but we're having internal physical things happen as well, because it's all connected. So that's important, right? Because when we're in fight or flight, we are having stress hormones and cortisol and adrenaline dumped into our bloodstream. Our heart rate is higher. Our breathing changes. I shake. My mouth will get very dry. We're also thinking with the back part of our brain, aka survival. So we don't make great decisions when we're in fight or flight. So those are all things that are happening. So that's the first principle. The second principle is that our body has something called neuroception, where it's taking in information and then having these responses to help us move through those stages. So we are noticing what's happening unconsciously and having a response to it. And then the third principle is my favorite, which is co-regulation. And that is that we are wired to connect with other humans, and we heal in relationships, and other people keep us safe, which can be the most difficult one if you or your clients have dealt with a lot of trauma, because trauma often happens in relationships and we don't have that safe connection, but we need it.
Yeah, I love that. And so, if a therapist was interested in bringing polyvagal theory into the therapy room, what's like a simple way? Obviously, training. Okay. We're assuming we've got some training. Like a simple practice or a simple way they could bring these three stages into the therapy room.
One of my favorite tools to use, and I do this in a lot of trainings, and I do this on retreat, is something from Deb Dana also called the Polyvagal Ladder, or mapping your nervous system. And I love it because everybody's always like, well, I see all these videos about nervous system regulation, but what does that mean? Now what? This is the now what. So you help your clients map each stage. What does each stage look like? What does it feel like? What thoughts or beliefs do you have there? What are experiences that you've had there? What do you need in those spaces? What triggers you in that spot? What glimmers or micro moments of joy happen in those spots? So it can help them understand themselves quite a lot better. And you can help them too. Like, I remember I used to have a client who struggled with anger, and he would always be like, I go from 0 to 60. And I'm like, do you? Because when we talk about it, you start doing this with your hand and you start jiggling your foot. Like, there are all these things you're not noticing, but I am. So let's write it on your map, your ladder. And then you can make it fun. When I do this in person, we have stickers and we have different colored paper and we have markers and we draw, and that helps, facilitate it and make it a way that we can remember it. And then you have like this working thing that you can help clients with. And it's also super helpful with parts work, or if you do EMDR, to find different PCs and NCs in this work. So it can be used in all different ways.
Yes. So what's a PC and an NC for someone who's not familiar?
Positive and negative cognition.
Awesome. Thank you. So this ladder with the stickers that you're doing in person, is that something that you're going to do at this year's conference?
Maybe.
I'm like, that's
doing that. We might be doing something else, but we could do that. Now I'm thinking of how I'm gonna, because we're talking about the chakras and polyvagal theory at this year's conference, and we're definitely doing experiential stuff. So
of course. But I was like, ooh, stickers, ladder, because I love the polyvagal ladder. I think it's such a helpful tool to help clients and even us understand the stages that we're in. So, a little side note, Gabby's going to be at the Holistic Therapist Conference talking about all things polyvagal and the chakras. So I feel like when we have the conversation about nervous system regulation, burnout seems to be like the next topic that folks talk about. I feel like in the field right now, if you're in any helping profession, I feel like we're burning out at an astronomical rate. I feel like it's like somewhere between like 40 and 60% of helping professionals are burning out. And you're a professional who has experienced burnout firsthand. So can you share a little bit about your burnout story and how understanding your nervous system and polyvagal theory and the practices that go along with it, how did that help you get to the state of regulation that you're at now?
When back in the day, I feel like the way that we talked about this was so different. And I mean, we've known this for years, but I also just feel like there was all this talk of self-care and like lavender essential oils and like get a massage and like have a bubble bath. Those things are nice, but I would do those things. And then it was like, okay, but when the massage is over, the emails are still there and my staff is still asking me for things. And like, it's just piled up and up and up. And for me, the big turning point, or like the catalyst moment, was I just noticed that I had this deep feeling of apathy where I just didn't care. I didn't care what my client was saying. I was counting down the minutes to when our sessions were over. I didn't care what my staff needed or wanted. I didn't want to help them. And that's not a good leader, a good therapist, and that's also not me. And so I knew something needed to change. Obviously, I sold the business. And of course, I'm like, oh, I sell the business and now I'm healed. And I felt the same. I was like, what the hell? I got rid of the thing. Why am I still feeling like this? And so that's when I really started my own deeper spiritual work during that time. I found sound healing during that time, because what I learned was like, it goes deeper. It's me. You take you wherever you are, right? And there were still things that needed to be worked through and noticed. And I think because I am an ADHDer, I don't pay a lot of attention to my body. I move through things very quickly. I just don't have great what's called interoception, so I don't have great like connection to my body, honestly. And so I've spent the past couple of years really digging in and working on that and building a second business that supports my nervous system. And that looks different for everybody. For me, it's a lot of slowness, it's a lot of delegation. I have to really pay attention and say no to things that I sometimes feel like I should be saying yes
Mhm.
to. So I have got to pay attention to those signals from my body. And also
Yeah.
in my human design, I make decisions from my sacral, from my gut. So that's something that I also pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah. No, I think I love that because I even honestly, Gabby, I know you said back in the day, but I even feel like present day self-care is still presented as this thing that only attunes to our physical layer, right? It's the
Yeah.
bubble baths, I mean, sometimes it's going out in nature, which is nice, but self-care is also, I think self-care is synonymous with healing. That's what I'm hearing you say. Right. When
Yeah.
you're truly caring for yourself, you're finding tools that help you connect deeper with your body, but also your spirituality, right? And so some of the tools for you, it sounds like sound healing, human
Mhm.
design. I know intuition, but what intuition? Because I know you, but what else? What are some other practices that helped you, get out that burnout, heal that burnout?
Something that I just started doing that has really helped me is I've always wanted to do the artist's way, which is like a book. And yeah, I know. So I finally started working that, and I've been doing my morning pages for the past 2 weeks, and I felt a really big shift with that as well. I love shamanic journeying, which is a specific type of meditation where you go deep into theta. And that's actually probably like when I think if somebody was like one thing that healed you, which is not how it works, but if somebody asked me that, I would say that because that is truly where I can go deep. I can access my higher self, my inner wisdom, my guides. All of those practices are very important to me. I also am a big fan of using oracle cards to connect with my guides as well to get information. But intuition is really the biggest one. And that's hard because we have to discern what is
Yeah.
intuition and what's your anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And so those are practices that, again, I've just worked really hard at over the past couple of years. I went through 2 levels of a program with my friend Lori, who I think you met in Palm Springs. And that's where I learned about intuition, working with my guides,
Yeah.
shamanic journeying, Akashic records, all of those things.
Listen, honey, I feel like you just named all those, and we're going to take this conversation 20 more minutes. No, but you said if someone asked you one thing that healed you, and again, that's not how it works. It's multiple things coming together. Like she said, disclaimer, disclaimer. But can you just tell us a little bit more about what shamanic journeying is and what it
Yeah.
entails?
So this is something anybody can do, and I think there are lots of different ways that people do it. How I learned about it and was taught, so to speak, is I use a specific track that is shamanic drumming, and that's all it is for 20 minutes. And shamanic drumming, much like lots of sound, right? It's the same thing. It gets you into a deeper brainwave state. It doesn't always happen, right? But if you can be present and you keep practicing with it, you'll probably go into theta, which is slower brain waves. That's where we heal, we access our inner wisdom. If you've ever done yoga nidra, it's like a specific space. To me, it feels like right before you fall asleep. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like, where you're like awake, but you're like not fully here.
Yeah.
You've got like 2 feet in different places. And when I do that, and again, this is how I was trained, is that you first imagine yourself walking up to a tree and you either go up the tree or down the tree. And that has nothing to do with like heaven or hell. It's just about like different realms. The lower realm is like more, I think of it like fairies, woodsy. The higher realm is like more ethereal. And
Okay.
you imagine yourself walking through the veil, and then when you go into shamanic journey, you want to have a question, but you say it as a statement. So I might say, like, show me what I need to do to be more present in my work. Show me what I need to do for this. Show me how to heal this. And then you just let it all unfold. And the track that I use has a specific clap back, so it gets very fast at the end, and that's when you know you have to come back and walk through the veil and come back into this dimension.
That is so cool. Okay, we might need to link shamanic journey in the show notes. I love that. It feels, as we're explaining what that is, it feels like having a conversation with God. Like,
Yeah.
like, God, show me
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is with the visualization of it. That's what was
Mm-hmm.
coming to me. And I love that. I mean, any
Yeah.
way that we can connect deeper with God, honey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
It's very powerful. And to me, it's
Yeah.
just like when you have that space, right? Because in our waking time, we're just going through the motions. We're doing this, that, this, and that. So it's nice to like basically have an appointment to be like, this is the time to give me the downloads. I'm
Yes,
here.
I love that. Okay, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to share about nervous system regulation, burnout, or any of those things before we end
Hmm.
with my 3 questions?
I just, hope that this is helpful for people. I know that this is like a very trendy thing right now, but I said this before in our conversation. I'm going to say it again. It is truly the foundation for everything. This is how we make decisions. This is how we engage with our environment. It's how we connect with ourselves, but also with the people around us. And so I don't know how else I can say that. It like just means so much to me. So hopefully that's coming through in this convo.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, sometimes trends aren't bad. It just means more
Yeah.
people are waking up and understanding a certain thing. But I do think that it's important that experts like yourself and myself and clinicians and folks who have spent years and damn near a decade, Gabby, I feel like we've been doing this for over a decade,
Yeah.
come to the forefront and really share about what these things mean and what it looks like in practice. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your expertise with us. And so I close every interview with 3 questions. So the first question is, what is your favorite tool for client transformation?
Well, I already answered that question.
Well, restate it, honey, just in case the folks skip through.
I know, I know. My favorite tool is the Polyvagal Ladder and the nervous system map. I always do that I did that with clients. I do that with coaching clients. I do it in trainings, on retreats. It is just so, and maybe it's just me, but I'm just like, this just makes sense. Like, this is my system. This is what I need in these spaces. This is why I get so upset by that thing. Like, it really just helps uncover so much. And in that same vein, small shifts lead to really big changes in your nervous system. So if you're like, one deep breath, ugh, actually, yes, as you're creating a new neural pathway, our brains have neuroplasticity. You can create new neural pathways, new ways of thinking and of feeling, and it just takes little tiny shifts.
Yes, I love that. No, I mean, the polyvagal ladder is truly, truly helpful.
So good.
So good. So good. So what is feeling expansive right now in your life or business?
I would say retreats, and that was the first thing that came to mind. I think something I've been working on during this season is more trust in myself and deepening my relationship with myself. And retreats are such a powerful and great way to do that. And I just love doing that work. And I love seeing the transformation that happens in those 6 days together.
I love that. And you have a retreat coming up in November,
I
right?
do. I
Do you
do.
want to share a little bit about that? And we'll link it in the show notes too.
Yeah, thank you. So this one's a little different. It is deep nervous system work through, and again, like not just as you could probably tell, not like fluff up here. Like no, we're doing the work. We'll be doing lots of experiential activities. We'll be doing expressive arts to go deeper. Lots of sound healing and 2 psilocybin ceremonies. in Costa Rica. My friend and also the retreat venue owner, her name is Kimberly. She has also been doing this work for over 10 years. And so she'll be leading the psilocybin portion and we'll be doing the integration together. One of the ceremonies is at sunrise with a sound bath. So I'm really excited for that. We have the whole space to ourselves. It's all private rooms. We have an infinity pool overlooking the ocean. And yes, there's air conditioning.
For it. No, I love that. Listen, I love a sound bath. The people listening love sound baths. And I think that being in Costa Rica, doing the deep nervous system regulation work is necessary. And so I'm happy that's feeling expansive for you. And hopefully y'all can join her on retreat. We love that.
Yeah, I would love that too.
Yes. And then finally, how are you honoring the human behind the healer?
I'm giving myself a lot of grace. Before we started recording, I was explaining how I had a hard week, and I don't know if it's like eclipse season, because it is, or like what, but either way, I give myself grace and I give myself compassion. I let myself fail. I let myself feel seen. I let myself be vulnerable, even when it feels uncomfortable. So that's how I'm doing that in this season of life. It's just being who I am authentically and not trying to hide it.
Thank you for sharing that. I felt that in my body, like grace,
Good.
vulnerability, all of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much, Gabby, for this conversation. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your heart, and the work that you do. I can attest that the work that you do is truly changing lives. And I'm just so honored to be with you on this journey. And again, well, before we actually close it out, how can the folks stay connected with you? Where can they connect with you outside of your retreats?
Connection is super important to me, and that is obviously why I'm sitting here right now. So that's how we met, was basically at a conference that we were both speaking at, and just stayed in touch. So I just want to say that, because look at all the beautiful things that can happen when you come to conferences and you put yourself out there. And if you want to stay connected with me, I'm very easy to find because of my name. It's GabrielleJuliano-Villani.com. The same full name on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and at GJV Consulting on Instagram.
Okay, listen, we staying connected. So all things nervous system regulation, hit your girl up.
Yeah,
Thank
me.
you, Gabby, for this conversation. Thank you for being here. And we're so happy that we could talk today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, beautiful soul. The work you do changes lives. The healing you hold space for creates real change in this world. And I want to remind you that you are worthy of living well while helping your communities heal. You are worthy of the time it takes to nourish your mind, body, and soul, and you are worthy of expansion. If today's episode resonated, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this with someone in your life who helps, heals, and leads. And if you're ready to go deeper, I want to personally invite you to join us at the 2nd annual Holistic Therapist Conference, happening October 1st through 4th at the breathtaking Art of Living Retreat Center in Boone, North Carolina. Early bird doors are officially open, and this is the best price you will see for this experience. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Grab your early bird ticket now. The link is in the show notes, and I will see you there, beautiful soul. Till next time, stay grounded, stay embodied, and keep honoring the human behind the healer. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you next week.